Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I want to welcome you to this fun project. Now we're going to be using Stonehenge cold press watercolor paper. This is 140 pound. It's actual watercolor paper. It's sized so it takes the watercolor really well. I've cut it down to a 5x7 sheet and taped it onto a piece of plastic board here. This is a corrugated board called Coroplast. You can pick it up pretty much in any of the art stores where they sell poster board and foam board. A lot of them are starting to carry this Coroplast. I have brushes, number 12 round Mimic by Creative Mark, a 3/4 inch flat, and a number 2 round. Look at that. We're using Arteza Gouache. These are the colors I have out. I might grab another one, I'm not sure. But for starting off, we're going to be doing black, Prussian blue, vermilion, because that's a really orangey red, white, sap green, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and lemon yellow. Because we've got an orange pumpkin, and I think I'm going to do something that's kind of in the yellows and browns for the background. I've got an idea. We'll see if it works. And then to draw on the black paper, we're going to be using a white charcoal pencil. You can use kids' chalk that you sharpen in a sharpener. You can use dressmaker's chalk that you get at the fabric store. We're going to draw this little guy on. I am going to set my pumpkin off on an angle right here, just sort of in the corner, and give it a nice hefty stem. All right. So we're looking at that and going, okay, that's pretty easy, right? You can do this. Oh, and when I taped it down, I used washi tape, which is a low-tack paper tape, and it works just fine for this type of a project. We're going to get some details. I'm not going to do a ton of the details on the pumpkin and everything, but I need to know where things are so that I can put the raven in. Now, this raven, I'm going to start from his feet up. And we're going to put his little legs in and his body and tail. If you want to know how to put this little guy in, check out that iCard. I'm not too worried about making this perfect. We're just going to get it in. Pretty much like that. See? Quick and easy. Not too worried here about making sure that everything is perfect because, you know, we're going to be painting over a lot of this. Oh yeah, got to remember to put his little pants in. Now I have my palette set up over here to the side so that you can see everything. So yellow ochre, I'm going to put quite a bit of yellow ochre out because I am doing that yellowy brown type of background, I think. The reason why I wanted to put the outline of the bird in here is so doing my background, I don't have to work so hard to get him back in because the paper's black. You know, we're good. That was lemon yellow. This is burnt sienna. I have sap green. Now I'm putting out probably way more than what you would do. It's about a fingertip. But just put out the amount that you need. Nice thing about this paint is that it does re-wet. So you can if it dries, you can just spritz it with a little bit of water. I don't know why I put that much blue out, but that's Prussian blue, and it was vermilion red. Then we have the black. Oh, need some white. Now, you'd go, we're on a black background. Do you really need white? And yeah, I do need some white for here and there. If I want the yellow to actually show up, I need to put some white into this background. I'm going to try and do this so it's a kind of a grungy, sort of a grungy background. I'm taking some yellow ochre and white and filling my brush up. See, flipping my brush over. And then I'm going to just drag down and kind of just start putting some texture in. Not really too worried about making it perfect yet. Actually, it's never going to be perfect. It is going to be just fun. It's going to be filled with a lot of character. Now, I just put quite a bit of water down. See? I'm going to go like this. We're just going to work it right up. And if it works into or over the pumpkin or over the bird a little bit, that's okay, because we need it. We need it to have the ability to be seen as in front, right? So my brush has a lot of paint in it still. See, I haven't gone back and got more now. I'm just going to work that down his back. This is actually going to be a very quick painting, I think. Now, I say that now. And then we'll see how my prediction skills go here. But I hope that you guys are having a great day, that you are enjoying whatever the type of day it is, that it's giving you some joy, that it's giving you some peace, and that you're getting a chance to have some fun. Now, you see, I didn't want it to be totally flat and perfect. And boy, is that that is not totally flat or perfect. Now you can see the color better. I'm going to pick up a little bit of burnt sienna and take it into my yellow ochre. And I'm going to come in up here. See how it's starting to streak that color in? Lovely random way. Kind of like it's an old signboard or something like that. There's texture behind him. Maybe there's a bit of a shadow coming from the actual bird. Instead of a glow behind him, maybe there's a bit of a shadow. Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah. I hope that you will try this. If you do, make sure that you share it. You can share right on my Facebook page. You can share on your, just by posting it on, oh, look at that. This guy has delusions of grandeur. Anyway, you can post it on your Instagram page. You can post and just tag me at Deliberately Creative. And you can also post it on Pinterest. Did you know that? You can post on Pinterest. You know what? I think I like that color, but maybe not as a shadow. We're going to just sort of work that color in. Haha. See? Sometimes we do things and then we realize, ooh, actually, I like it better kind of streaked in like a old wood. Maybe that's what I want. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so kind of streak like old wood. So I'm going to grab some more of that burnt sienna. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to bring it up on its edge this way. And I'm going to sort of streak down, kind of like old planks. Not worried about drawing right through him because, you know. There we go. And then we can kind of pull across it ever so slightly. See what that does? Gives you more texture. So sometimes when you're doing things like this, you need to have the mind of an experimenter. You need to have the mind of somebody who's exploring. And don't be tied to your first idea. Maybe I'm going to darken that corner up more. Yeah, see? Not tied to an idea. Sometimes things change. Now I'm going to take just a smidge. Ooh, that was too much. Of Prussian blue into that burnt sienna. Darken it up just a little bit. I'm going to just lightly grunge this up a little bit. Oh, yeah. There we go. But maybe not all, all over the place. Now, you do need to be careful. This paper has quite a bit of a texture to it. So you can make that work for you by dry brushing over it, but sometimes you don't want all that texture. But look at that. This is actually, he's in pretty well. I think I'm going to start putting some pumpkin in. And the pumpkin I am going to actually lay in with a bit of white and whatever the yellow ochre bit that was right there. Maybe a touch of the lemon yellow. I'm going to lay this in really bright. Look at that. Look how bright that is. Yep, we just went right over his feet and ooh, my pumpkin just grew some warts. Gonna let it go. Gonna let it go. Just do it. Have fun and not worry. If things don't go exactly the way you were expecting, no big deal. Now, something to be aware of is that your paint that's underneath can be re-wet and lifted back up. It can be blended in, it can be blended out. It can work into it and become a shadow. See, look at this. We're just basically slapping that paint on there. I'm not worried about making it, all shaped the way the pumpkin is shaped, because you can re-wet the paint. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that yellow ochre now with that white, and there we go. See, this is very folk art, very primitive. This is a primitive style. It's not going to be totally perfect because I don't want it to be totally perfect. So I'm going to start putting some little shapes, those little lobes on the pumpkin. Start getting a few of those in and start dabbing it out. See, because I don't want them to be perfect. I don't want them to be super bright. They're going to be light and shadow. Look at that. It's already coming in. Now I want a little touch of that vermilion and the lemon yellow. Really get some pumpkin color going here, right? You don't want too much white in that. The vermilion will go kind of peachy if you put too much white in it, so be careful with that. But I'm putting some of the color just straight on. That was just straight vermilion. So I can start basically sculpting, because that's what I'm doing here. Is I'm just sculpting this out. Do you like having the palette here? Do you like seeing that? Let me know in the comments. And let me know if you would like to see this as a piece of artwork on maybe a t-shirt or bags. Let me know. All right, so see, we're just going to start putting color in. Now remember, this part out here is just the tape. And you can see where I kind of went a little rogue right there and got some of that lighter color. We can darken that up. Just take some vermilion and some burnt sienna. Kind of put a shadow in back here. I like that color. I think I'm going to work it into a couple spots. Again, you're sort of sculpting your paint, and that's really what I love about gouache. Now, you can do this with watercolor. You can do this with acrylic. You might have to do some slightly different techniques, so play with it. Don't work on your best paper when you are starting out. Give yourself an opportunity to practice, to learn. So right now, whoa, that looks pretty ugly. And remember, almost every painting goes through that teenage stage, that sort of ugly duckling stage. That stage when you're like, oh, is it ever going to work out? And yeah, it will. Now I just picked up some more of the lemon yellow and a little bit of the vermilion and just a touch of some white in it. See how we're getting that shape in there? Little tricks. Really super little tricks. Doesn't require a lot. Cool thing here, because we're sculpting it out and we're adding, did you notice I was adding light colored paint right over the top of dark colored paint? And because I have the black paper underneath, when I'm sculpting out here, what I mean by sculpting out is using my brush that's a little bit wet, moving the paint and allowing that background paper to kind of come through a little bit. Not completely, but the tone of it is coming through. And that I may need to switch to a round brush, I think. I think my square brush is just pretty much at the limit of what I want to do. My details are getting smaller, so I don't want to keep fighting. So don't fight with it. I rinse the brush out and then I set it to the side. So gouache, you can put light colors over dark colors and dark colors over light colors and then light colors back over dark colors again. You are basically, you're the one in control of it. If you really want your light colors to show up really bright over the top of dark colors, make sure that the underneath layer is dry. Now, I'm working wet into wet here, aren't I? I'm just trying to power through and make this all work out so that we can get to that raven here, that crow. So I picked up some more of the yellow and a little touch of the vermilion, a little bit of water. Now, when I'm putting the brush into the water, I'm barely touching the water. But if you want your paint to flow off smoothly, you need to learn what the hydration rate is, how wet your brush needs to be. And if it gets too wet, you can always dab it off on a paper towel. All right. Ooh, there we go. So if you guys could share this video with your friends, that would be really, really helpful. I am so excited. I mean, doing all these doodles, I had people from the episode 2 and episode 1 that were like, yes, we want to see paintings with these things. And because I had done the raven in that episode 2, and I said, all right, I will do that as a painting lesson with gouache, because I wanted to paint with gouache. I do paint with watercolor. I do paint with acrylic. I have not painted with oil paint enough to be able to be confident with it. I don't quite have all of the, what do I want to say, finesse with oil paint yet. And the oil paint that I have is the water soluble, so I can, which just means that I can wash my paintbrushes out using water and I don't have to use solvents. Because I think that's one of the things that scared me about oil paint, is that, you know, you have to be so careful about how you dispose of your paint rags, and you have to let them dry for a certain amount of time, and you need to put them in, you know, sealed containers, and I just don't have that patience in my studio. You have to be a very good studio manager, or manage your studio well. Oh, look at that. All right. That pumpkin is going in really nice. I think I'm going to take some brighter yellow, a little bit of white, that lemon yellow and white. And I'm going to come in here and say that there's a bit of a highlight, a little bit of water, so A little more highlight, a little more water. Yeah, so you just work things back and forth. You can do this. You know, and if you didn't want to do the crow, you could do just the pumpkin and then put a sentiment going across here, right? So if you didn't want to do the bird, you wouldn't have to. All right, so there, I'm sort of dragging on the top and the bottom of it with just whatever's on the brush. And we'll need to get a bit of a stem on. And I do want to make sure that the side where the side of the pumpkin where the raven is, there does need to be a bit more of a shadow. So I'm making sort of a browned out, slightly darker orange that has a bit of brown in it. Just so I have it there, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get that top edge of it nice and clean. Let's see. So, yeah, gotta have. So when you want to make fine details with gouache, you do have to make sure that your brush is wet. So there. I'm going to blur this out just a little bit. I don't want it to be a super harsh shadow. I love how the painting sort of starts painting itself. I mean, you're the one that's always in control of it, right? But sometimes it feels like the brush lays down something and the paint goes on with it, and it just sort of goes, oh, look at that, you know? So here we go. We have a lovely, lovely pumpkin. I will be putting a little bit more into that. Maybe I'll do it now. You know, you're the one that can make those decisions. So see, I'm kind of picking up that color and moving it around just a little bit that's already on there. Move around the color that's there. Say I'm trying to work back towards that black just a little bit, but then I need to put some more orange right up here. There we go. And if your brush is too wet, you will be pulling back your color. So just know that. And it's all a matter of, it's sort of a push and pull. You push some color on, you pull some color off. There we go. Okay, I am going to put that stem on there. And I think the stem is going to be more yellow ochre and burnt sienna. It's going to be a little bit more woody looking with that black. And I like what's happening here, where it's got sort of that texture with the getting kind of bumped out here at the base of it. Letting the paint go in. Get it wet. All I did was get it wet. You notice I did not pick up any new paint that time. So this side of the stem probably should be darker, right? Because there's that shadow. So the opposite side of the stem might be a little bit lighter. So I think I will darken up this side. And when you darken one side, then it automatically makes the other side start to look lighter. Now I need to darken that up a lot more. So I'm taking some blue into my burnt sienna. Not making a black. Almost a black though. It's really dark. Put a little bit of that down here around the base of that stem. So it's sort of in shadow. Just right around the edge. I have a pumpkin in my garden right now that is just, it's got, no kidding, a stem on it that's this big around. It is outrageous. We went away for a weekend and it was this little tiny pumpkin. We came back and it had grown. My son had been taking care of the garden for us because it was really, really hot out. And he had to put a bucket under it because it was so heavy it was going to break the stem. Crazy, I know. All right, take some of that vermilion on the other side. I didn't wash the brush out though, did I? Just start, go in and do something. And if it doesn't work out for you, you can always put some more paint on it and just work it out into a different space. You notice I am working in a rounded way here. I'm not doing hard straight lines. I'm working in rounded, curved lines. Now I'm working it on the side of the brush a little bit. Curving those lines. So something you'll learn as you're going along is that light colors dry darker and dark colors dry lighter with gouache. So this lighter side over here, it actually dried a little bit darker. There we go. So we're getting that shadow in there. A little bit more shadow right back here from that stem. Now this is kind of a made-up picture, so and there's lots of people that have done ravens sitting on pumpkins. It's a very kind of a traditional autumn type of feel. So, I don't claim to have originated this, but when I did a search for ravens on pumpkins, I got back hundreds of thousands of ravens on pumpkins. So I figured, you know what? I'm pretty safe. There we go. All right, maybe a touch of, just a tiny touch. Yeah, just tiny touch. A little bit of white and yellow because it's getting lost right here on this, in the background. And I know it's not the star. He's the star, and he's going in next. Although, oh, I see something. I want to just get this edge right here, just kind of worked in. A little bit. I'm not going to have his shadow be totally flat. There's some color in there. See, because it's a little bit flat. I want it to have a little more color. And then grab some of that really, really dark. Get that in there. And you will want to go back in and do things like that. Put little, put your shadows back in. Shadows are going to lighten up. So put your shadows in again if you need to. Don't think that it's going to be completely done when you get tired. So you might need to set it aside and go do something else. Come back and work on it some more. So all I did was rinse out my brush. I did not put new paint on there. So what I'm doing is basically activating the paint that's underneath. There. See? That's all we needed to do. Fun. Oh, yeah. Love this. And yeah, I can keep going back in and adjusting and adding things and maybe messing something up and then fixing it again. And that's okay. You guys need to see that, you know what? People are not perfect. And sometimes even art teachers put something down in a way that they go, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And then you have to fix it. And so many people are, I don't know, maybe they're afraid to look like they're not as knowledgeable or not as perfect of an artist. But hey, you guys all know I'm not a perfect artist. I am an artist that never is actually after perfection. I am after the fun, the experience, the positivity that comes, the relaxation. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm going for. So, if that's not what you're going for, and I am totally stressing you out with going back in and adding little bits of things, like adding a little bit of white here, and then brushing it down. See, you can diffuse the light. Put it down, it's too strong, then you can just go over it and work it in. So that little spot right there is making me a little bit less pleased. So I'm going to take gently, not pushing hard. Look at that. Gently, not pushing hard. Just let it skim over the top and not work it all the way to the background. See? Little bits here and there. All right. We're going to start putting in the raven. Now, I am going to go ahead and get my black and some Prussian blue. Now, it's going to basically be black. but it's going to actually be more Prussian blue than black. And now I'm just going to fill him in like a silhouette to start off with. See? Quick and easy. You can do this. The only parts that you have to worry about are on the outside edges. So when you're, into the middle of him, just go slap, slap, slap. It's when you get to the outside edges, and if you don't remember where his edges are, you could go back in, let it dry completely, go back in and paint him all in, or draw him all in with your chalk pencil again. Put his little knickers on, his little pantaloons. I'm going to say his feathers are actually dropped down behind at that point right there. Let them be feathery. It's okay. His wing, it's actually tucked back over his back. There, see? And remember from the lesson, from the drawing birds lesson, that this is actually his shin bone. Right here is his knee. So then, and right here is his ankle. There it is. 3 toes forward, 1 toe back. These are not perfect toes, but they're good enough. Maybe a little spot where there's his claw, where you kind of see it. Look at that. Okay, so now we're going to swing it over so that I can come up here to the top and go, where is his beak? His beak is going to come out and bend over. His beak is not perfectly straight, and they tend to have a bit of a little double chin under there. Now, once you've got the beak relatively on there, don't mess with it. Just walk away and let it be, because from experience, now I'm filling in the inside. I'm not actually working on the outside of that beak anymore. Let that just be. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is looking good. Now, the inside of his beak gets a little bit of a highlight. So you can kind of start seeing, well, you can't even really see that yet. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to give him a little bit of some fluffy feathers here. Pick up a little bit more white into that blue-black and get a gray going here. There, you can see that gray. And I'm going to go ahead, just the tippy edge of the brush. See how there's just the lightest little highlight there. And then I'm going to put some of this blue-black gray color. I'm just putting a little bit, some dabs, and then I'm going to use the just water on my brush to kind of soften them up. So I'm just putting some color in here that's going to get softened out. Oop, the water just went from yellow to murk. We just headed into murk. All right, so clean wet brush. And then I'm just going to not have that much water. I'm going to soften it in. See, just they're highlights on his glossy feathers. And I'm just going to blur them in. Blur those highlights in. And the thing is that as it dries, those highlights will actually start showing up. We're almost done. Look at that. Okay. It's drying really fast in here because it's hot outside. I'm going to take some of the burnt sienna color and I'll just pick up a little bit of that blue-black. Tiny little dot of water. Maybe a tiny bit more. Because, real interesting, but ravens tend to have a bit of brown in their eye. So it's kind of fun to put a little bit of brown in it. Can't even hardly see it. I'm going to take a tiny touch of some white. Not a lot. Put a little bit of gloss on the eye. I'm putting a little bit of some highlight, even though you wouldn't necessarily see it. Yeah, maybe a tiny touch. A little bit of detail on his legs, on his feet. Oh my goodness gracious. He is so cute. I'm going to drop a little bit of this brown tone into his feathers too. Just because they're kind of reflecting some of that orange. In my mind, that's what it's doing. It's reflecting some of that orange. Not that you would actually see any of that. Maybe on his back a little bit more. You know, if he's casting a shadow, there's a little more light coming up back here. Oh my goodness. All right. I can truly say that I love this little guy. Okay, blur that little bit right there out, and we have pretty much finished this cute little guy. So let's take the tape off, sign it. Oh, and I do need to put a little bit of that shadow right under his feet. A little bit of shadow right under his feet. So it looks like, you know, he's connected to the pumpkin. And maybe I'll go ahead and put a little bit more dark back behind there. So now I have to work around his leg. That's okay. See? You work it out. You work little things in. Now this is going to be staying up here on YouTube forever, or as long as YouTube lets it stay. I hope that you will have fun and that you will check out more of my videos. I have lots of beginner drawing videos and lots of paintings, all kinds of painting and crafts. And okay, there's over 600 videos on my channel. I'm sure there's something else that you would be interested in. I am going to go ahead and detail at the top of his foot again. See? You lose something, you put it back. There we go. Just soften out that shadow underneath of him. Ha! So there we are. Little shadows. Pull that tape off. Did I see something? And you know what? If you see it and you notice it, you have to take care of it, right? So I noticed it. I want that to be darker. Just right out there at that very edge. So see, work on it. Figure out what makes you happy. You're done when you say you're done. And if you don't say you're done, but you're done for right now, that's okay too. So I just picked up some white in that. That wasn't what I wanted to do. There we go. I want to work that. See, again, you see something? Take care of it when you see it, because it will be something that you go, oh, I was going to take care of that. Yeah, so just do it. All right. I'm going to give him a little bit of that right there. Give him a little bit thicker ankle. You know, so his foot actually can be attached. All right, let's get that. All right, gonna pull the tape off now. Let's see, where's the... And this is the black watercolor paper, so the border is going to be black. Oh. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I need to sign it. I'm going to grab a pen to sign with. And this is and I don't have a title for him yet, so we'll see what he's called. You guys can tell me, what is the name of this painting? Look at that. Now, that is not glossy. That will be matte, and oh, that is beautiful. I love it. I hope you do too. Make sure and click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and share the video with your friends. Really helps a lot. Watching all the way to the end like now, that really helps me out. And if you want any of the materials that I use, they're listed down below in the more information box. They are affiliate links. I do earn a small commission when you make a purchase through any of those affiliate links. Remember, click up here for the free episodes on how to draw birds, step by step. They were all done live, and they're lots of fun. Remember, go out, do something creative, take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you, and I hope to see you back here again really soon. Bye-bye.